Ayo, what is up everyone? It is the Alpha J of the Alpha J Show, and today we're going to be talking about Snotrocket. The creator of Eddy and Eddy made this. Not much is known about the specifics surrounding the project, but I want to talk about the project itself anyway. The video came from the a.k.a. Cartoons' Facebook page, and that's about it. But let's go into the cartoon and see what the creator of Eddy and Eddy has been up to. So we get a glimpse of the art style for Snotrocket. Unlike in Eddy and Eddy, which I will call the Eds from now on, to be a little bit more brief, this style is very refined and modern, something out of a graphic novel almost. The outline effect is not in this new creation by a.k.a. Cartoon, which although minor, I do kind of miss. We also hear a bit of the classic music that would fit right in place with the Eds. You'll see a lot of the animation looks like it needs work, but just like with my Mighty Magisword review, I will not take this into account because I don't know how much backing went into this project. We do see a dog who is very laid back while making this sandwich. His name is Butch, and as you can see, he looks like he merely wants to enjoy his calm day until this kid comes around, scaring Butch. The child's name is Buster, and from what I can tell from this short, these two seem to be the main characters.
Let's play! Listen, small fry, all I want is some peace, quiet, and relaxation.
I do appreciate how if you watch the Eds, you know that certain lingo like rad, choice, skirt, runt, and here, small fry, are commonly used. Danny doesn't abandon those words, and it gives off this different vibe that sets it apart from other cartoons. He gets told by a truly aggressive being to watch Buster, the child, and if there's any noise, Butch is out of the house. If I were to describe this animation style, it has that smooth and quick movement that early Gumball and the Loud House has, mixed with your standards 90s gross out, mixed with this indie vibe of not being too polished enough to lack character. I should say something about the voice acting. It's there. And what I mean when I say that is that nothing truly stands out except that everything is either loud or generic. I would imagine that it wouldn't bother too many people though. Butch gets the idea that Buster should spend time with Eddy and Dee Dee.
Those aren't girls! It's a two-headed Yucky-powered robot!
Now this brings up an interesting thought. Do you think that the show is done somewhat through Buster's imagination and perspective? Because if so, it explains how in this series, we get this childhood innocence-like vibe. The twins end up being very brute and assertive on young Buster here, and Butch ends up getting the piece that he wanted. Also, small pick, but when did you make that sandwich? Earlier in the short, you clearly dropped it, but I guess dogs wouldn't care if it's on the floor. But I actually do have one big pick, and that big pick is how this transition goes. Do you see this fade? When in cartoons, do you see fades like this? Because usually, it's to show that time has passed, and quite a bit of time. Now I get that Buster has been a very annoying kid and treads the unlikable border, but he's also just a kid who just wants to play and is very hyper, and he lets it get the best of him. So in my opinion, I could give him a break, but it shows here that Butch really wanted to hammer home that he needs peace. But to give the show the benefit of the doubt, this could be an unfortunate implication. So now Butch rescues Buster from these terror twins in what looks to be a very awesome scene. The lighting effects were on point, the way he was motivated because even though he threw Buster aside to these twins, Buster still considers Butch a friend. It gets to a high point, then reality sets back in. We see that they somehow came back into the kitchen. The aggressive mother makes her way downstairs, and unfortunately, there's not much to help out Butch's case. The twins escape scot-free, Buster is overlooked for making this trouble in the first place, and Butch, like was said earlier, is kicked out. And that was Snotrocket. I really do enjoy what this show had to offer. I feel as though a large complaint, however, will be the treatment of Butch, and if this became a full fleshed out series, that is kind of a concern. Although Cartoon Network has had the reputation of good shows and more artistic freedoms than its peers, I actually think that Disney XD or Nickelodeon is a better spot for this show. One, this show has a ton of gross out, and Nickelodeon loves that, but since a competent team is behind this project, I don't think the show will tank as fast. Two, I wouldn't want this show to be overshadowed or given ridiculous standards like unfortunately what happened to Mighty Magiswords. And 3, and the most important point, we do need the other Cartoon Networks to stand on more than a handful of good shows, because that helps out a lot more in the industry, and in the end, than stockpiling as much great shows into one network. But I want to know what you think of Snotrocket. What network would you put it on? The poll will be in the card above, but in the description below is the link to my request video. Feel free to put your requests there, not in this particular video, but in the request video, as well as my Twitter at the Alpha J Show and my public Discord. Feel free to join. I'm very active on my Discord. If you really like this video, I highly suggest my Johnny Test Games video as well as my ASDF movie review. Both are not in my traditional format, and if this does well, then I'll do more. Make sure to subscribe and feel free to consider my Patreon. And as always, I hope your time was well spent, and Alpha out.